time. I'd like to thank everyone for participating on this in-person meeting with the public webcasting. And we'll start the agenda with item number 1. And I'd like to call the meeting to order and let's establish quorum. Kathleen, could you help us establish quorum for our board meeting?
Yes, thank you, President. Dr. Daniel Lee,
Present.
Dr. Devin Glacier, Dr. Sumar Patel,
Present.
Darlene Trulio Elliott,
Present.
Samantha Yu Chang.
Present.
President, you do have a quorum.
Thank you so much. For item 2, for the President's welcome, I'd just like to thank the staff and everyone present here, being part of this board meeting at this late hour and allowing us to go through our agenda and public comments to pass some of the items that we have prepared from our last meeting and everyone's effort to participate today, coming to this meeting. So thank you so much. For item 3 on public comments on items not on the agenda, I would like to remind everyone that the board may not discuss or take action on any matter raised in this public comment section, except to decide whether to place the matter on the agenda for a future meeting. Next, we have our March 28, 2025 board meeting minutes. Hoping that everybody had a chance to review all the minutes and if you could review, discuss. I'm going to go back to item 3. Do we have any public comments available? All right. Thank you very much.
No, we don't have any, but we don't have any online.
Okay.
This is only in person.
Okay, thank you.
With that, let's move to item 4, review and discuss our minutes from our last board meeting dated March 28, 2025. Hopefully you had enough time to review and if we can take roll to accept our minutes. Kathleen, could you help us with that?
Thank you. Dr. Lee,
Accept.
Dr. Patel,
Accept.
Darlene Elliott,
Accept.
Samantha Chang.
Accept.
Passes.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments from the last minutes from March 28, 2025? Assume that we don't have any public comments at this point. We'll pass and the board has voted on the acceptance of the minutes. Item number 5 will be tabled for our next meeting. So everybody please remember that. Moving on, we'll be accepting and reviewing, receiving the discussion and receiving our executive officer's report. Let's start with item 6A from our licensing program committee. I'll direct to Dr. Patel.
Thank you, President Lee. I will call on Andrea to give us the licensing report.
Following information is for the third quarter of fiscal year 24-25 between January 1st and March 31st. There were 29 newly licensed DPNs with 29 pending applications and 3 candidates that recently completed their package. So far, PBC has 22 applicants from out of state, 20 are third-year residents from California, and 18 are third-year residents from an out-of-state program. Moving on to renewals, there were 292 renewals mailed with 267 licenses renewed in the third quarter. Next, for the residents, there were 3 residents added to the second-year resident rotation list, bringing the license total count to 133. Next, we have the number of licensees that have a 2025 wildfire renewal deferral modifier. There are 3 licensees that have their renewal fees deferred for 1 year due to the 2025 wildfires in Southern California. And then we have the 3-month timeline. Is there any questions on that motion so far? Okay, So finally, we have the applications for approval of the California Podiatric Residency Programs. There are 18 separate California postgraduate clinical training programs that are seeking approval of applications for programs offered for the 2025-2026 academic year. The licensing committee met on May 7th and recommended all 18 programs for approval, which are included. Any questions on the residency applications? That concludes the licensing portion.
It sounds like I think we need a motion to approve the residency programs.
Yeah.
I think you guys can help with the motion. I think it's simple to approve all residency programs. Go forward.
Now we can involve the residency programs.
Do we have a second?
Wait, who is,
I did.
And second,
Any public comment on item 6A? Stating that we don't have any public comments. Any further questions? Then the motion is approved.
But then we have to do a roll call vote.
We'll do. We'll do.
we're ready?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Dr. Lee,
Approved.
Dr. Patel,
Approved.
Darlene Elliott,
approved.
Samantha Chang. Motion passes.
And let's have a public comments for item A, 6A. See that there is no public comment. We move to item 6B. Enforcement Program Committee. Elliott, please.
Thank you. I will go ahead and ask staff to go ahead and do this report. Thank you.
The enforcement report covers January through March 2025. And we'll start with the current statistics. Complaint data, third quarter is provided. A total of 31 complaints were received during quarter 3, a 9% decrease over the prior year's third quarter. And the average days to close for sign a case was 9 days. The investigation data shows the third quarter over the prior year's third quarter. 29 desk investigations were assigned and 36 desk investigations were completed. Processing time averaged 122 days. It was an 85% increase over the average of 66 days the previous third quarter. This is based on the vacancy that we've had for several months, but staff is now starting to close the gap on some of those investigations, desk investigations, and some catch up. So in July, we had 30 pending desk investigations. By December, there were 71. But as of March, there was 65. So we're starting to make some progress. It's numbers. There were 5 field investigations assigned during the third quarter, and 4 cases were completed. These investigations took an average of 169 days, which is a 20% increase from the prior year. We do believe there are some discrepancies in investigation of this agent data, and we are trying to work with PCA to get that figured out. So I'm not exactly sure on the exact timeline for average number of days. We may be a little bit off with that, and eventually by the next report, we'll have that fixed and accurate, fully accurate data. And then the case investigation, this is the desk and field investigations together, had a total of 44 investigations closed during quarter 3. 32% of those were closed within 90 days, 54% between 91 days and 1 year, and 14% took 1 year to close. The disciplinary data, there were 3 cases initiated during the third quarter, compared to 1 case initiated during the prior year's third quarter, and 3 final orders went into effect compared to 1 previous third quarter. No citations were issued during the third quarter, and there was 1 successful probation completion, 1 new probationer added, and total of 7 licensees on active probationary status. Then, and finally, we have the total year-to-date totals. So this is July 1st of 2024. Doesn't go through June 30th through March 2025. The first 3 quarters. We had total complaint intake decreased by 1%. So there was very close, 106 complaints received so far for the first 3 quarters of this year compared to 107 in the prior year. We had 107 total investigations assigned. And the average days to complete investigation is showing 204 days. Again, I'm not sure if that's 100% this time. It might be a little bit lower actually. We had 11 disciplinary cases initiated through the Attorney General's office, which is an increase of 120% from the 5 cases initiated during the same period of last year, and 7 final orders issued compared to 5 apologies during the first 3 quarters of 2024. Our disciplinary cases took an average of 1,107 days to complete, compared to 902 the prior fiscal year, which is a 13% increase. 3 citations have been issued in this fiscal year to date. And attachment B shows those codes that were violated. And finally, we have our Attorney General aging data. And this comes directly from the Attorney General's office. We've had several petitions for reinstatement that have been processed and additional cases going into hearing. So we do have a lot of additional cases set for hearing this year than seen in recent years past. Unfortunately, the cost of hearing are not reimbursable at this time, so that might hit our budget a little bit. We'll see that in the upcoming quarters. So we currently have about 12 cases pending completion at the Attorney General's office. There's a few cases that are over that have not yet had an accusation filed, and so those will show up in the future reports. And then there's a performance measures available on the PCA website, which shows information currently through postal funds that will behind our data that we can do a search to compare with other boards and bureaus and with the historical data. Do you have any questions on the enforcement statistics? We're going to move on to the probation program update. So just have cost recovery information this time. So between January 1st and March 31st of this year, we have received $3,365.80 in cost recovery payments, $21,949.90 in probation monitoring payments, for a total of $25,360.40 of cost recovery received in full recovery. The next section is the expert and consultant program update. We've been long awaiting consultant training, so I now have dates for that. They're not fully in this report, but this past week, we've got those dates as October 24th, 2025 and April 24th, 2026. And we'll be sending out invitations for that first training. We can get that on the calendar by the end of this month. Again, board members can listen in. We don't want participation, so that could be seen as a board meeting. But if you want to listen in, I will send invitations to board members as well. And then the final is really just information, petition for reinstatements and hearing costs, and looking into options for potentially getting cost recovery. Current laws currently does not allow any cost recovery for those hearings. But the medical board recently proposed application fees, and I have attached the information from the board review. If anybody wants to discuss it, or we can wait to see what happens with the medical board, and then see if it's something we want to look into adopting and how that goes. And that concludes my report. Any additional questions?
Question of cost recovery. Do you know how much is past due or pending? I mean, it shows that what we collect, but is there past due amounts that we're anticipating or hope to get?
Yeah, there are always usually some past due amounts. A lot of individuals are on payment plans, so once you get that initial cost recovery order, it might be $20,000 or more, and they don't always pay it all at once. So if they're on probation or have a public letter of reprimand, we usually allow them to sign a payment agreement with us. And so we may pay that off over the 3 to 5 years. And so reflecting that, throughout the years. But occasionally we don't get somebody, falls off of probation with a revocation or license surrender, we may not collect that. But for the most part, people are paying for upfront.
Thank you.
Any discussion on item 6B? If we have any public comments, item 6B. Then let's take roll to accept item 6B. Do we have a motion to accept item 6B?
I'll make a motion to accept item 6B.
Should we wait till the end of the section?
We could,
We could.
I'm okay with
Because we do already in.
Member can I just retract it?
I will retract my motion to accept 6B.
But I'm okay if we just accept it.
So we're okay with the council to take discussion, public comments, and taking the roll to accept each item at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so that will be all the way to 6B. Great. In that case, on this, we have no discussion on 6B and public comments on 6B. Now, let's move on to item 6C, legislative regulation and program committee. Well, Dr. Glazian being present today. Kathleen, could you help us with the presentation?
Yes. Yes, thank you, Doctor. I'm happy to report AB 1501. It was moved on June 11 to the Business Professions and Economic Development Committee for review outside of appropriations. We are not sure exactly what will be done, but on information I believe from Brian and other sources, it will probably be between the 1950s and the 1900s. Maybe Brian will address that. If there was any specific knowledge over the last week, but it's going to be in a healthier range so that we can start building our reserves back up. Is that correct, Brian? I believe so. So the other things that happened in 1501 were the goals to have the word podiatric surgeon and added as a title for the proper title for a DPN in California. As it's listed in Business and Professions Code 2474. You can see by the bill that's attached, the text that has been added. The second thing is the elimination of the 10-year exam that's required. Part 3, we call it commonly, but that will not be required. The bill has stricken that, and that should no longer be part of the application necessity when you come from another state. Third, there was a issue avoiding the word ancillary and to not consider DPMs ancillary healthcare providers. So to prevent a classification, which was also removed. And the last one is the actual amount of the increase in the reward fee, which I mentioned first. So it's probably going to be something like 1925. It's every 2 years, and that would definitely help us. So attached to this section is the text, the analysis from appropriations, and from the Assembly. Very well done, and I think it's moving forward. So we're looking forward to getting it signed this year, which will then allow the NBC to exist until January 1st, 2030. Are there any questions on AB 1501? It's everything you wanted out of Sunset. Brian, congratulations. And everyone else.
Yeah, we should be doing this week, so we. This week,
Is that would be to support the additional one?
we need to support.
Also, the proposal is technically can take a neutral or opposed position if they would like. I do recommend that you support position.
And I'll make a motion to support the 1501. Do you have a second?
So, sorry, no, supporting them. Support, or just leave it until nothing.
It's just the board vote. It's just separate. It's going to be support.
Also, to correct me if I'm wrong, I believe too that it allows the board to be listed as an official that you are supporting the bill. Thank you. Something for that, I'm sorry.
Don't forget to use the microphone, please.
Thank you for the reminder.
Do we have any further discussion on 1501? Any public comments? With the vote, yes or?
Yes.
Okay, then we'll take a vote on the support for AB 1501. Catherine, do you have to take that on board?
Yes, Dr. Lee,
Is that
Dr. Patel,
Except
Darlene Allen,
Accept.
Samantha Chang, Seth. Motion passes.
thank you?
Now, the remainder of the report has to do with regulatory update, and there's three matters that are moving forward. One is the disciplinary guidelines, and the other is section 10 regulatory change that will update certain language that has to do with CEU doctors and some of the changes that we had last year with continuing competence. So that's just an update information. No activity from the board is needed at the time. And that concludes the legislative report.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on that second item, DP 26, before we move on to 6D, public education? Or do we have any public comments on it? It seems that we don't have that. Let's move on to public education, Ms. Chen.
Can I have the staff to provide information? Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's Catherine Cooper again, and I'd like to report on the Public Education Committee. We did go over some of the things that are just annual and decided that on September 30th, we'd like to close the edition for 2025. We expect at that time we will know that it's already been signed by the governor and it's going to be finalized or if it's still pending. And anyone who'd like to write any articles or submit any information at all relevant to DPMs in California and all the stakeholders, please know that we're open to anything and everything. So we'd like to make the newsletter interesting to people who are reading it, but focus on DPM issues in California. We have a lot to write now that the sunset is getting to the end and to cover all the changes and good changes that we wanted. So that part would be easy. But anyone else who has any ideas, you could just send me an email if you think something would be covered, that would be well received. Please let me know and I can help write that or find more information on any topic. The board members want to support. Like I said, the deadline is fluid. It's always fluid, but we're shooting for September 30th. And that's it as far as the newsletter footnotes. Any comments on footnotes? We'll go to social media and the electronic website and social media. We are always updating and thank people for giving me so much information back on what could have been eliminated basically. We eliminated some things on the front page. They were just too dated and put things on top like our mission and vision. And then a short notice area. One thing that did happen when it's been on the news was there were some fraud activities that NBC, the medical we sent out a listserv of over 2 to 3 times. We've contacted CPMA, and we realized it's really difficult to contact all of our licensees when something new is always happening. We really are not competent at it because they haven't signed up for our listserv. Not everyone has. So that's something we'd like to have to go in the future in case there is some kind of problem. Some of the people that probably need it the most are not on this. So we will come. But we have updates to Facebook and Twitter and our website. So if anybody has any other comments, we did talk a little bit about Instagram, and there was some short discussion. We didn't see a lot of movement on the city's part to get us on Instagram. So I guess it's just the more governmental established Facebook and Twitter that does that. But we could revisit that. We feel strongly about that. We can take steps to open Instagram. Other than that, we say that concludes my report for public education.
Thank you, Catherine, for the discussion on item 16, public education. Any public comments? Okay. Let's move on to items 16, which is the executive management. Some discussion and updates and discussion of public possible actions on item E1 and E2. With the first one being presented by our girl.
Yes. So you guys haven't seen the responses from the staff in the committee. In the back, with Ashley Bailey, we have 6 issues, which is actually pretty good. One of the issues is fees. The second issue is elimination of fee, the control department, the control. And then the alternatives to NBC for enforcement, and that's pretty much the response we gave is that we have a shared services contract with NBC, so we outlined that. And then the fourth issue is distinctions between UCs and DPMs. This came up at the sunset hearing when this one of the legislators asked, what is the difference between an ND and DPM? And certainly the job explaining it. So there's discussion going on with that. I know the association CPMA eventually with the EPMs to get the certification of physician and surgeon, right? That's been on. Not saying there's leads here, but there has been discussion, and so that was our response. Technical edits is issued another problem. It's just, just some technical stuff, and this is what they came up with. So they had a placeholder for 15 of them. So that's just, so that held the sunset. So it's a placeholder. And then issue 6 is the future of PNBC. So see the staff recommendations that we continue. Pretty easy response for us. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention because that was all done prior to our last meeting. Any questions on that? There's one. Thank everybody, staff, for putting all this stuff together. It seems simple, but it's not.
No, that's simple. My comment would be excellent job starting with our DO and the staff putting this together, especially with the crunch of time and all the data that we have to collect and to be present there until the late hours to go through the sunset hearing. Amazing. So thank you very much.
Can I also stress that the board members have been with it to just also provide their second report to the responses with a formal motion. It could be either to approve the board's responses to the issues in the background paper. You can also just say, so.
So moved.
Wait, I move to approve.
I move to approve the board's responses to the issues in the background. Does that work for you, Brian?
Yes.
So moved.
A second.
Wait, who?
That was Lee, move, and Patel seconds.
Thank you.
It's such an important item. Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Further discussions? Do we have any further discussions on item E1? Any public comments? And let's take roll. Kathleen, please help us with the roll.
Dr. Lee,
Approved.
Dr. Patel,
Approved.
Ms. Sally,
Approved.
Ms. Chang. Approved. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. The next item E2 came about as we had discussed into being included with certain requirements for holding cases for discussion and according to the council to give us a short take on.
Yeah, so we discussed this at our last board meeting, and the question is just to formalize how many votes are needed to hold case for discussion. And based off of more comments, it sounded like you guys want to have one board member's vote to hold a case for discussion. It's to be voted for, held for discussion. So I drafted an update to our admin manual to reflect that direction. If you guys are good with the language, you can I have a suggested motion. I have to take questions. The motion will be, I move to update the board's admin manual to reflect the language as presented by staff.
I move to update the board's.
Admin manual to reflect the language as presented by staff. I can also take questions too.
I would like to ask a question. I was absent in the last meeting.
Yeah, so generally, most boards at DCA, so actually I'll just say that. So boards can vote by mail, as you guys will follow, but most boards at DCA also take the ability to, if you have a mail ballot, to move it to a closed session discussion by holding a case for discussion by voting for that. So a lot of boards do too. That's kind of the standard. Based on the discussion of the last one, though, given the size of your board, your general interactions with each other, you thought that a single vote would be appropriate. So what that means is if one person votes to hold case for discussion, you'll wait for the next board meeting, or possibly there might be a necessity to schedule a board meeting to hold case for discussion. That's you have to vote on ALJ proposed decisions within 100 days. I think that would be common with a board meeting within that time frame. But just so you're aware, that is a deadline for that long.
We don't see any. Sorry. We don't see any future cost associated with it since we don't have to do.
I mean, generally, I don't think there would be an associated cost. It's just thinking how many board meetings do we usually have a year? 3. So most times there will be a meeting within 100 days. It is hypothetical that there won't be, which is something to be aware of. But also the board doesn't vote on an ALJ's proposed decision within 100 days. It just is adopted just as a matter of law.
Thank you.
Any further comments, questions, discussions? Two.
So would you like me to suggest the motion again?
Yes.
So I move to update the board's admin manual to reflect the language as presented by staff.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I was second, early.
Roll for the vote. Any public comments? Let's take roll.
Dr. Daniel Lee,
Approved.
Dr. Suna Patel,
Approved.
Darlene Elliott. Approved. Samantha Chang. Approved. Motion passes.
Thank you. So, we discussed this earlier. We went through 6A already and we had taken roll. So this next discussion is regarding item 6B through E. So I'll open that up for any discussion, if we have any.
Do we accept item 6A? Just, I don't know.
I took it back.
Yeah, I don't think we took.
That's included this time.
Yeah, so just, I think it would be, I move to accept all of committee reports. There's no some. Then we all committee reports.
Executive office. Then I'll move to for discussion on all the items first, from item 6A to E. Any discussion? Any public comments? Do we have a motion to receive and approve all the reports from the committees from our executive officer? Items 6A to E.
Make a motion to approve item 6A through 6E.
Do we have a second? Kathleen, could you help us with taking the roll?
I remember there was just also a opportunity for public comment after the motion.
We have the motion, we have a second. Do we have any further discussion? Do we have any public comments? Okay. Seeing that we don't have any further discussions, no public comments, let's take a roll.
Okay. Dr. Lee.
Approved.
Dr. Smar Patel.
Approved.
Darlene Elliott. Approved. Samantha Chang. Approved. Motion passes.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments on this matter? Any discussions on this matter? Any more public comments on this matter? Thank you. Okay, let's move on to item 7, future agenda items. I'd like to open up to the board to see if we have any items to add for future agenda. The next meeting coming up in November 7.
This would be a future item, but again, filling some of the differences. Do we have an idea for the reporting governance of this?
Unfortunately, that is not on the agenda, so we can't get into a deep conversation about that. But feel free to maybe check in with staff on the individual level afterwards.
Any other items? Any discussions? Yes. Do we have any public comments on this matter? Items for future agenda. Thank you. One item that I would like to add for our future meeting is to give the powers from the board to the committee to approve the residencies without the full board meeting. And the comment for that is because
Sorry, but really, we can't have extensive discussion at this point. It's just.
that's just the item. Yeah. That was it. We'll discuss it at the next meeting. Thank you, Brandon. Keeping a really short, nice and tight. I appreciate it.
That's required administrative change.
Updating the manual.
I would need to also look at the laws and stuff around that at this point, but we can talk about that if we get that.
We're still discussing month. I get it. Okay. Awesome. Any other future items for our agenda? Okay. Any further discussions? I'll open it up to another opportunity for public comment. Seeing that we don't have any further comment, are we ready to adjourn this meeting? Okay, the meeting is adjourned.